So hello everyone, my name is Stefanie Faechner. I work for ClickSafe, the German Awareness Center for Safer Internet, and I would like to speak about the topic always on mobile media and new challenges, and I will introduce suggestions for practical projects in schools. The reason for this topic is twofold. On the one hand, I think it's a quite relevant current topic, and the second reason is that we as a Safe Internet Center have recently published work material for schools on this topic that we have also translated into Polish for this conference. So you should all have a copy in your conference bags, and we would be very happy if you will find it helpful and implement it into your work. So for this reason, I will put the main focus of this talk on how to raise awareness to the topic of being online all of the time from a pedagogical perspective. So in this session, we have quite different perspectives with a rather strong focus on the really negative aspects of internet use, with two talks on internet addiction. So what we are doing is completely different. Our material can be used for general awareness raising in groups. So this is a purely preventive approach. I'd like to start off with showing you a short video clip. Maybe some of you know or remember it, as it used to be quite popular advertising spot some time ago. So I embedded it into the presentation, but I think I need the technician to start it.
Really?
It's time for a phone to save us from our phones. New Windows Phone, designed to get you in and out and back to life.
So I think we have to press escape. So I think it's quite a great spot from your reaction. Some were laughing. I think you liked it too. It was produced in 2010, so at a time when the use of smartphones was already popular, but not as common as it is nowadays. So at the time, and of course it's a spot, so it's exaggerated, but when we look at it, it's quite real in 2016. Only last week, I really saw several people texting while they were riding bikes. Maybe they were playing Pokemon Go, maybe doing something else, but I think the tendency to be always online is nowadays much more of an issue. So, of course, it's not just about riding bikes, but it's also about the fact that we all of us, as many studies show, use media for about 10 hours each day. And the usage of mobile media has constantly increased in the last years, as various studies also show. So I don't agree with the spot that companies or providers offer solutions. Of course, they could technically do, but in my opinion, it will not be primarily technology that will help us to stay in control of our lives. So the potential for education is really to try and bring people to reflect their media usage and really make active decisions how we want to live. And I think that is something we need to do. And even if media usage is primarily private, not all parents serve as role models. So you, as teachers, you cannot say, oh, this is something the parents should do. I think it should also be a topic in schools, because media just play a huge role in young people's lives. Of course, as you can maybe see, this is a stock photo, but this situation is also very 2016. With this always-on topic, it's not just growing-ups who really don't know how to handle it, but it's also grown-ups who constantly use mobile media as well. And to be honest, it would also be quite hard for me not to constantly use the internet. So it's not only a young people phenomenon. That's the point I'm trying to say. Why is it so fascinating? I think I don't have to say very much about the fascination. You have this one small device and it can basically do anything. It can entertain you. You can find all kind of information. You don't even need a computer anymore, and you can even use it as a phone. Even young people don't do that anymore so much. But we all understand the fascination of the device. These are results from the German GYM study. That's the biggest representative survey about media usage of 12 to 19-year-olds. I'm quite sure the situation in Poland is very similar. Almost all of them own smartphones, and most of them also have mobile flats. I highlighted the top 3 positions, in which you can see ownership of smartphones and internet access. There are 2 colors for boys and girls. The girls are the darker green ones, but actually it doesn't really matter a lot. So the numbers are between 90 and 99%. And if you ask them which media are most important to them, they say using the internet and the smartphone is most important. Also typically for young people listening to music as well, but that was the same at my time and somehow doesn't seem to be a problem. If we look into the future, I'm quite sure the fascination for media will be around for some time, with virtual reality, which nowadays is rather expensive and there isn't so much content available. But with the blurring between online and offline will definitely go on. So the question is there really a problem with being always online and not speaking pathologically? So there is somehow good news. That's also the GYM study. If you ask people if there is stress about media usage in the family, the majority says no. But still, 30% say that either the duration of playing games or using smartphones at home causes stress in their family. And here we are talking about normal internet users. Of course, that's only the teenage perspective, and the way the question was asked, it didn't say anything about really experiencing stress, but if the topic of media usage causes stress in the family. So the question is, do we really trust in self-assessment? But if we do, the majority of young people feel rather positive about the use of mobile media and really don't see a problem. I think that's always important to keep that also in mind, because we tend to talk more about the really negative problems. So what could problematic aspects be? I don't really want to go too deep into that, so I just picked out the ones that are relevant to our work material. Of course, it depends on who you ask. There are different, sometimes contradicting studies, so I just really picked out a few ones. Social pressure is one point. Some people feel the pressure to be available all of the time. They feel like they have to answer right away. If you talk to young people, you experience that a social media conversation is like a real-time conversation. In this room, if you ask me a question, I don't answer, it's somehow rude. But for young people, it's almost the same. So it's like a real situation. And you can say, yeah, but if you don't like it, just answer in 2 or 3 hours. But it would be considered rude. So social pressure is sort of a problem. And providers even encourage it with the reading confirmations. So they are afraid they might miss something important if they are not online. And there is even a word for it. It's the so-called fear of missing out, FOMO. So they constantly look at their smartphones. And I think this really is a situation you can talk with young people about this. What would really happen if you don't look at your smartphone for 1 or 2 hours? Is it really always that bad? And I think you can also practice it in social trainings. Another point is distraction. So this is really a dangerous effect, distraction caused by the use of mobile phones. last year, the German Automobile Club, ADAC, published a study saying that 10% of car accidents are used by distracted drivers who look at their phone. So it's no longer don't drink and drive, but the smartphone, don't type and drive. This definitely is a topic for awareness raising. We've seen really bad examples of physical problems due to excessive use. Maybe we all know something like the neck pain from looking down, or the thumb from texting, and then it becomes more complex, of course. The question if using your smartphone in bed affects your sleep. There are also different opinions about it, so I'm not an expert on physical stuff, but I think we all agree that excessive use might also lead to serious problems. And another point is information overload. That's a buzzword we probably all have heard. There are also different opinions about it, and it's quite a controversial topic. And of course, I cannot give you a final solution, but I'm just speaking from the awareness raising perspective. Multitasking is not everyone's business. Some people feel distracted by lots of incoming messages. They cannot focus, and I think we all know this. On a smartphone, we tend to scan information rather than really focus and concentrate on one thing. And so some people, they just feel overloaded. It's too much. And if we talk to teachers, they usually also complain that spelling has suffered due to lower texting standards in messenger apps. So you see there is a variety of topics for awareness raising, and we wanted to bring them into schools, and that's why we developed the work materials for teachers. This is our always-on brochure. The yellow one is the German one. The green one is the Polish version you should have in your conference bags. In this brochure you find background information and 3 practical projects for schools, ranging from 1 or 2 hours to a whole project week, so you're quite flexible in how to integrate it into your work. I'd shortly like to introduce the projects so that you know what they are about. For all projects, there is a given framework, there is a learning target, there is a given time frame. We always pursue a multi-method approach, and the structure is always the same. So for each project, we start with a short introduction, then there is a phase of elaboration, and finally there is an anchoring phase that brings it together. The topics of our projects are the following. The first one is called Always On, How We Are Controlled by Smartphones. The second one is Defining Rules for Using Messenger Services. And the third one is called The Digital Detox Experiment. So, project number 1, Always On, How We Are Controlled by Smartphones. For the introduction, we suggest a multitasking game where students really literally walk around in the room, and they have to write text messages on their phones, and there are some obstacles in the room, so they might actually really fall. So this is a rather playful approach, but it helps them to get them talking, so you can probably see parallels between the game and the everyday life situation. For the elaboration phase, we've developed a questionnaire. It's a self-check about media usage, and we also offer different texts for text analysis, and some video clips offer input on the topic. And at the end of the unit, we recommend to visualize ideas. And questions could simply be, how do you minimize distraction, or how do you use media in a positive way? And they could either write a traditional poster, or we make suggestions for online tools where they can produce and visualize information flyers, so that you can actually create something that can stay around in the classroom. So project number 1 is a short, but I think good introduction into the topic. Project number 2 is more specific. And it aims to agree on common rules for the use of using messenger services. In Germany, that's mainly WhatsApp, but you could adapt it, of course, to any other service. I've heard it's not so popular in Poland. For the introduction, we recommend to confront students with current statistics about the use of messenger services. You can, of course, adapt it to the national situation in Poland. For instance, the frequency of WhatsApp use. In Germany, that's the average teenager checks his or her WhatsApp account 27 times a day, but 20% do it more than 50 times a day, so this is something you could talk about. Or you could even create your own statistics if you let students, for instance, check their mobile phone settings. How many messages do you send on an average day or in a week? When did you start to use messenger services, etc.? So if you do a paper and pencil version, it can be anonymous, and it can provide data and helps to get people talking, getting into interaction with students. In the elaboration phase, students work in small groups. So you could, for instance, hand out current newspaper articles about a topic. We also make suggestions for headlines with pros and cons of messenger services. And the task for the group is to define rules for existing messenger services. And we have defined 3 areas. The first one is organization of groups. Many classes have WhatsApp groups or messenger groups. So how many class groups do exist? Is there an official one? How are they used? For what purposes are they used? And who is responsible? So all these questions, they are just doing it, but they are not really thinking or talking about this. The second point is usage without stress. If you talk to students and the day before exams, there are like 200 messages. Is it important? Do you learn it? Do I have to know it? And this causes stress. Some people are laughing, so maybe it is familiar to you. So can you define messenger-free times? And if you decide as a group, you might define, or do you want to have technical support? Which settings help you to avoid messenger stress? And the third area we've defined is, in my opinion, the most important one, which is fair treatment. How do we communicate? What do we do as a group if someone is bullied? So these are really serious questions, and usually we don't regularly talk with young people about this, and I think that's very important to do it. So each of the group defines a set of rules, and then in the anchoring phase, all groups present their results, and you can do a ranking. If you have 5 groups with 50, rules, you can choose the best 10 ones, and they can all agree upon a common set of rules. Sorry. This is the last project. I don't know if you listened to Boris yesterday. He said that young people like challenges. They like dare games. I offer you $5 if you jump off a building or something. So last but not least, you could challenge your class with a digital detox experiment. I don't know if you've heard about this. Digital detox means that you try not to use digital media for a certain period of time. So it could be one day, it could be a weekend, or it could even be a week. In this case, if you do this in your classroom, it's really important to have acceptance. So preparation is important, so you'll need at least one teaching lesson to prepare for the task. And if it's a joint class decision to do it, it will definitely help to define the framework together. So how long will it be? Are there any exceptions? If there is, I don't know, football championship final games, it will not work out. So it's more likely that I will not cheat if you define the framework together. And I think it also has to be a voluntary decision to participate, because media use, it's private. So if you want to challenge them, you need their acceptance. They say, okay, I want to try if I can do it. You could maybe reward it in some ways. I think that will help. Also looking at the challenge game we heard about yesterday, so a reward might definitely help. Can we do it? It might also help the group. If it's more people, we get a bit more of a reward. So I think that's also a good dynamics if you try to get the whole group into it. And it also helps to inform parents as well. So that's why we have included a letter to parents that you could use, and maybe so that they know what's going on, or that they just know why their kid is somehow not using the smartphone anymore, or doesn't have a smartphone anymore because it's locked away somewhere in the school, or however you want to organize it. Maybe they also show solidarity and participate as well. If we look at one of the first slides with the parents texting all of the times and a child was playing in the background. Then during the digital detox phase, all students are asked to write a digital detox diary. You could also offer the option to make short video statements. I know that video statements somehow sounds contradictory because they are not allowed to use digital media, so it should probably be just a video camera and not the smartphone camera. That would probably be too tempting. And we've also prepared a set of questions for this task. And of course, after the detox phase, there needs some sort of feedback session. How did they experience the challenge? Could they really stick to it, or did they cheat somehow? So I think that's also very important. Did just one person fail, or that they all say, okay, we cannot live without it, or not for a whole week, maybe for 1 or 2 days, but a week is too long. So I think talking about it, the experience also helps a lot. Yeah, so let me finish with the feedback of a YouTube star, Estée Lalonde. She has like 1.5 million followers, and she said, oh yeah, I'm using my smartphone and the internet way too much. And she did a 48-hour detox, and she made, it's like a 10-minute video clip about her experience. It starts with the first minutes when she starts, and then at the end she makes a final summary. This is also something that is very good as practical projects for your schools if you do the digital detox, to do something like a video documentary. So I don't think we have 10 minutes to see the whole video, but I just want to show you the first minute and the last minute to get an impression about her experience, and maybe you could transfer it into your work.
Today is the start of a 48-hour digital detox, which means no internet, no phones, no TV, no iPads, no nothing, people. We're going back in time because I use my phone too much and I use the internet too much, and I want to try to do less of that. First stop, Reggie goes for a walk. A long one, because we've got nothing else to do today. We're 10 minutes into the detox, and I've already noticed how much other people use their phones. We're walking along the street, everybody's like this. We're all zombies, including myself. That's the crazy part, because I'm dying to use my phone right now.
Okay, the pressure's on. Can you flip this whilst keeping the yolk intact? Oh wow.
Did I do it?
What a professional.
Yeah.
Professional egg cook right here. So, I think you've hit the first test.
I've hit the first wall.
The first real wall.
Normally, when we have breakfast, we watch TV. Got a TV right here.
Perfect positioning.
We love to watch TV with breakfast so that we can zone out and not acknowledge each other's presence.
Yeah.
How do you read a book and eat at the same time?
Here we go. Skills lost due to the internet, eating and reading at the same time.
Every Saturday morning we have a digital detox because we take Reggie to the big park. He loves the big park. So I think we're used to having a digital detox for like a couple hours every Saturday morning. I love this. This is my favorite part of the week. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am impressed so far that we are out and about on a Sunday. Nice.
So it's been almost 48 hours. It's bedtime, as you can see. And over the past few hours, we've been on a cleaning rampage, sorting up the kitchen drawers, the junk drawers. I think productivity levels are at an all-time high, especially for like a Sunday night at 9 p.m. we were just up to lots of cleaning, and that is very unusual. I can't lie, it has been a struggle. I did fail that one time. The whole process has taught me a lot. Number one, I depend a lot on the internet and TV and other sources of entertainment. Number two, I need to get out more. We've done so much this weekend and we've seen so many things, and it was so nice to just be in the moment. And number three, it's not possible to do this every weekend, of course, but I think it's an interesting experiment, and I would love it if you would try this at home, maybe even like an evening digital detox or like one day a week or something like that. I'd love to see how you did with the digital detox, but I would definitely try this again. I think maybe like every night after 6 p.m. I won't use my phone, you know, stuff like that. So I think it's interesting just to kind of go back to basics, and I would love it if you tried it. So tweet me when you're back on the internet and let me know how it went at Estée Lalonde. So now I'm heading to bed, looking forward to reading my tweets and going through my Instagrams tomorrow. It's been a long weekend without it, but I have the knowledge that if there happens to be a zombie apocalypse or something and the internet goes away forever, I can and I will survive, and I will be one productive mofo. Signing off, I feel digitally cleansed. I will see you in the next one.
Okay, so I think you got an impression